Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another one of my Living Consciously videos. We have just gone through, as a nation, witnessing two gigantic storms that have hit the East Coast. And I think all of us have been affected in one way or another. I know I had five five families that I'm very, very fond of that live in Florida. And so as a result, I worked with light, I worked with Reiki energy, and I worked with the protection of the angels that the angels offer in order to keep these particular people safe. I felt that that's the only thing that I could offer them. I I couldn't give them anything else. And so today's uh, session is going to be about vibration. Everything vibrates. When you get down to the basic elemental level of what we are composed of, and that is everything, all you really have is vibrational energy. And recently, not only has the storm, uh, both Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene, hit the East Coast of the United States, but I have had devastating news from a personal friend of mine who has come down with breast cancer. And again, she understands her role. She understands how she played in this because she claims that she knew quite a while ago that something was wrong, um, felt the lump, but didn't do anything about it. But now it's been diagnosed as stage 4, which is pretty devastating. And like I said, she's a person I care deeply for. And so when sitting and meditating on what to bring forth today, what came forth was this talk. You really have to remember that, or let's say, if you can remember, in vibration, you can have high vibration, mid vibration, low vibration. Positive thinking takes you into high vibration. Negative thinking takes you into low vibration. Think of the blades of a fan. When they're in low vibration, you can see them and you know not to put your finger up there. When you're in mid vibration, you can see them and you know not to put your finger up there. If you were caught off guard and didn't recognize that you had the ability to put your hand up there, but didn't recognize that the fan was going, what might happen is your fingers might get sliced off. And I truly feel that we are given warnings. We are given things that happen to us, things that happen across the country. People tend to ignore them. And in ignoring them, consequences arise. In breast cancer, the consequence is that instead of having a small lump removed with a very quick, simple procedure, you're now faced with the fact that it possibly could have metastasized in your whole body. I know when I was in the process of being tested for fertility treatments because I wasn't getting pregnant, I had the doctor identified uh, a cyst in my breast. He said it's not a lump, it's not a tumor. He says it's a cyst, but he said if we can quickly um, see if we can collapse it just by puncturing it with I guess a needle. So he didn't go away. I scheduled my appointment that day to have it removed. The day I found out I had a cyst, there was no waiting, no, well, maybe there's nothing there, no self talk that gave me any kind of excuse to delay going to be checked. And I, I just felt this is a foreign object. It's inside of me. I want it out. I want it out. I want it out. I want it out as fast as possible. So I encourage you to keep that kind of attitude inside of yourself. Don't try to talk yourself out of whatever it is that, whatever excuse you're using, that, well, geez, if it's really bad news, I really don't want to face it right now. I really am not willing to face this. So give yourself the benefit of having early detection, early treatment, and not having it go through your whole body. If you're on the spiritual path, I'm sure you're aware of the author Elizabeth Hay. She's the one who founded Hay House, and I think her story is that she was raped repeatedly as a 5 and 6 year old, and then as a teenager, she became very promiscuous and developed breast cancer, and then decided she was going to cure herself. And so took the time to, um, and actually, I'm not even sure she had breast cancer. She could have had uterine cancer. But she took the time, she took 6 months off and did everything in her power to give herself the time to rest, to change her thinking from negative to positive. Obviously, if she had been continuously raped, she couldn't have had uh, very many positive thoughts going through her body. So she gave herself that time. Plus, I think she also started to control her diet as carefully as possible. One of my very early clients, I'm going to go back about 20 years ago. Um, well, maybe not quite 20, but certainly in the neighborhood of 15, when she recognized that she too had breast cancer, but she also was pregnant with her first child. She immediately determined that she was not going to take on um, this role as a new mother only to see herself go to her demise. And so she immediately started to attack her cancer, or I should say, address her cancer with her body, with her, that was in her body, with juicing and diet and positive thinking. So, again, positive thinking plays a huge role in your ability to take charge of your life. So, as I was thinking of these 2, she overcame it. She produced a healthy baby, got rid of the cancer, and, hopefully now will, start to address that issue in, publicly, make a public forum of it. I know that when I sat down to ask for remedies just from my guides, not researching what's out there. I figured that I'm always one to turn inside, to turn inward for what my guides have to say. And so when I asked for the steps to be given to me, what can we do ourselves when we are faced with witnessing a Hurricane Helene, witnessing a Hurricane Milton, coming down with some really bad news regarding our health or the health of our loved ones, the health of people that we care about. The very first thing that the guides came in with was watch what you think. Think positive. You have to absolutely stay positive so that you don't fall into the realm of negative vibration, that slow or mid-moving fan. That is number 1 on the list. And number 2 on the list, which is along the same lines, is find a way to see the good in all that has happened to you. I have a little, I've given a little suggestion to some of my clients. Do a T square. And on one side of the T square, you put down my story. On the other side of the T square, you put down my benefits. So you write out your story, condense it. You might have 100, you might have 200, you might have 500 stories. But for every single negative thing, and only write on one side of the paper, because afterwards you're going to cut through and you're going to take all the stories and you're going to fold them up like little chances and you're going to do a burning bowl and watch all that angst fall into ashes and know that that angst is behind you. On the benefit side, what you can do is you can think of the things that these negative happenings to that anything good that came out of it. And sometimes there is nothing good except for maybe one thing, and that is I would never treat another human being in that manner. Maybe that's the only good that you can think of. And if that's the case, write it down. That's all right. If you have to write that down 500 times, that's okay too. So just remember by writing out the story, you are releasing it from inside of you. Some of you may discover that, geez, I really have something I want to share with the public. And you could turn that story writing into uh, a career in public speaking, maybe sharing with women's clubs, battered women's clubs, homeless shelters, Alcoholics Anonymous. There's always a reason why somebody turns to drugs and alcohol. There's always an inadequacy inside of us that can't be satisfied. And so we turn to external means to try to um, blot it out, to try to go, numb about the situation. But what we find is doesn't get rid of it. So this is a way for you to get rid of the story that's trapped inside of you. Okay. The next thing my guide said, walk in nature daily. And if that doesn't interest you, get a dog. They have to go out. They have to go piddle. And so uh, find a way to motivate yourself to go outside. My favorite time is between 2 and 5 p.m. because the warmth of the day has kind of expanded. So it's at the highest point. So even if it's 30 degrees out, maybe it's 36 at that time. And I just make sure I'm bundled up enough. I can't stand being cold. And so, but most of the time, for many, many months, at least for about 8 months, it can be really decent out there when the sun shines and it's glorious. So find a way to take a walk in nature. Talk to the nature spirits, talk to the elementals, talk to the trees, talk to the bushes, the flowers, the shrubs, whatever catches your eye, you can communicate with them. So find a way to stay in nature. Fourth one, eat lightly. Natural foods are best. Whole foods, like live foods, are terrific. If you hate live foods, you hate salads, you hate fruit, find at least one that you can tolerate. Then find two, then find three, then find four. And build a repertoire around foods that make you feel good. If you love mussels and nobody else in your family does, treat yourself. Go to a restaurant that serves them. I know I love the garlic smell of the garlic and butter smell that is in a serving of mussels, but you could put a gun to my head and tell me to eat one, and I would probably say, shoot me. I'm not interested. I can't stand anything sliding down my throat that feels slimy. So anyway, mussels, oysters, clams, forget it. You know, oysters Rockefeller that's minced and chopped and under the broiler, fabulous. But or clams casino that's cooked in sour cream and served with wonderful chips. Can't remember the names because we eat them so rarely. But anyway, just the foods that you love that strengthen you, increase them. Also, if there are certain times of the year that you eat beets, like for example, because we're Polish, we have the Polish tradition of we call it borscht. The whole world calls it borscht, which is the Russian pronunciation. And in so for Christmas Eve, we always have that. But I have found that I feel terrific after a helping of beet soup. So I realize I haven't treated myself to it, but now is the time where all the root vegetables are so plentiful that, and the squashes and the pumpkins and um, all kinds of wonderful veggies that aren't typically found the rest of the year are found now. So, and if you feel energized by a certain food, that nobody else likes, treat yourself. Just either make it for yourself or buy it and go to a restaurant and order it. So, and the vegetables, the fruit, there isn't a saying that's been around for hundreds of years, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Apples contain potassium, and potassium is missing in a lot of people's diets. So, popping a pill isn't going to cut it. Eating an apple a day, if you can't down a whole apple, take a half. The one that I love the best is called Honeycrisp. absolutely fabulous apple. So I just really recommend that you find one that you absolutely love. I know they're expensive, but your health is worth it. So, and avocados, I know for me, I substitute avocados for meat. I know when I have avocados for breakfast, I can usually go till 2 o'clock without feeling the least bit hungry. And so, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I eat at 7 or 8 and everything. Number 5, reduce the stress level in your life. If you are working at a job that you hate, I can guarantee you're not going to feel well because every day that job is going to wear on you. Evaluate your skill level. If you need to get another certificate in something, if you need to go for to night school at the junior college, do it and find a way to move into a different position. I know that there are people that I've counseled along the years who felt they were stuck and absolutely not able to move on to a better paying job. And I asked when I questioned them about what would it take. It seemed like what they told me was so minor. Like, okay, completing my 2-year degree. How many credits are you away from it? 10. Well, that's not even a semester. That's less than a semester. You can do that in at you can still keep your full-time job and maybe not take 10 credits, maybe take 5 and 5 or 3, 3 and 3, however you want to break it up. But one in case a gal said, "Oh, I just have to take a 4-week certification class, and the my company offers it for free." I looked at her almost dumbfounded, and I said, "Do it. Take it." I saw her a year later. She didn't even look like the person I had seen a year before. She was so downtrodden a year before. She was so miserable. She now I see her in her professional attire with her beautiful makeup, lovely clothes, and I looked at that and I absolutely was so grateful. She took the advice, got the certification. Absolutely. She knew the work. She knew what she was doing. She just didn't have the initials behind her name. So, anyway, do what it takes. Reduce the stress level. If you have small children and they're driving you crazy because there's clutter everywhere, they don't stay small forever. I know when mine were small, my living room became a giant playpen because my office was down the hall from the living room, and a lot of times, I would have the gate up because it was a bi-level, so I didn't want them falling down the stairs, but they had tons of toys in the living room, and sometimes they'd bring them into my office where I was working, and sometimes not. But every toy I made sure at least was safe for them to play with. And most of the time, they stayed right under my feet in where my desk was, and they found a way to. They didn't play house; they played office. So they found a way to occupy themselves. Um, this one, number 6, reduce the demands on others, especially if you're operating from a place of blame, shame, and guilt. You cannot control what others think, say, or do, but you can control what you think, say, or do. Others are going to disappoint you. Of course they are. There's no way that everybody is going to meet your expectation. You might have grown children who never call. Tough. They're busy. I was busy at their age. I was super busy. In fact, sometimes I thought uh, I didn't even breathe properly because I couldn't. I felt like there was just so much to do and not enough time to do it. So blame, shame, and guilt. If you're operating with those three modalities of being, they are 10, 20, and 30 on the scale of consciousness, and it's only after 200, the level of courage, that you go into the positive realm. Everything under courage is negative. Everything, which uh, I'm not going to go into that. I think I've done that once before, but I might bring it up again, and I'll continue with um, the other levels and tell you more about that. But anyway, reducing that is critical. Um, Number 7, figure out what it is that you cannot tolerate. If okay, and I'll just give you the meaning that or the incident of something that comes to my mind. I know that I have no expectations of my having my family around me for my birthday or for Mother's Day. And my birthday and Mother's Day sometimes are a day apart. So it just worked out that way. But I absolutely do want to be contacted on my birthday and Mother's Day. Don't care if they send a present. Don't care if they that I over the years I've received all the presents I need. I frankly don't feel I'm lacking in anything. So, but to hear from them, yes. And fortunately, my kids get it. This last birthday, they lined up a time where, though they're both in Brooklyn, um, both families are in Brooklyn. They lined up a time so all three of us could be on a Zoom together. And that just warmed my heart more than anything. One of my friends told me, and this just broke my heart. She said, "Oh, her daughters never call her on Mother's Day. One of the daughters might call at 10 o'clock at night and say, 'Hope you had a good Mother's Day.' And the other one, it's all about her. Has nothing to do with me." That doesn't feel right to me. So if there's something that's truly important to you, get it across to those who mean something to you and who can do something about it. But don't be demanding. Just know that everybody's entitled to their own life, to their own uh, restrictions on time. I know that there were times where I worked 16-hour days. So do my children now. And can I expect them to communicate with me if they're on a 16-hour day? Absolutely not. So I let that go. And but again, if it is super important, um, let them know. Um, this next one is kind of in keeping with the same thought that was before it. If people don't meet your expectations, lower your expectations. Don't just do and fret and fume over something that you're not that is not being met. And if the gal that told me about the fact that her children, that one daughter absolutely never called, and the other daughter called at 10 o'clock, she had made peace with that because she knew that that was the best that was going to happen at that time. So she made peace with it. And I give her a lot of credit for it and everything. So if people are not meeting your expectations, lower them. And the last item that my guides came in with is lead with kindness. What you send out is what you get back. Life is a boomerang. You send out with kindness, you get it back. And in last week's session, one of the loveliest statements that was made was that you have the kindest eyes, and because that's from within. So just know that there's many, many, many ways of showing kindness to your fellow man. And especially now, boy, do we need it. We need a little bit more kindness in this world, in every everything that we do. So I know I've run over my 15-minute allotment, but that's the way it has been recently. My book, Own Your Power, Day by Day, is fabulous. I get the world's best remarks about it. It again, because you only read 2 pages a day, it helps to set you up for the day. And you can buy it through Amazon, you can buy it through my website. If you need additional information from anything I do, go to my website, Alicia, Alicja, Jones.com. Also, the book is available for sale for $20. It's a hard copy and it will be personally autographed by me. I thank you for being here. I will be gone for 2 weeks because I leave for Burgundy, France, and on Wednesday. So I won't be here for 2 weeks, but after that, I will come back. And who knows, maybe but I know that something wonderful is going to happen on this trip because I just had the biggest push to be there, and I'm not exactly sure why. This time will be the first time I travel without my husband on just a regular trip. My spiritual trips I've always taken by myself with a group of spiritually minded people, but on a regular tourist trip, I have always traveled with my husband. So that's a huge thing. He just did not feel that he was up to the amount of energy that it took to keep up with the group. And so, anyway, I wish you safe passage through these next couple weeks. My understanding is there are 4 more hurricanes brewing out there in the Atlantic. Um, I know one thing that I did with the 5 families that I am so fond of. I put them in a bubble of light, put their house in a bubble of light, and now I recognize I have to put their car in a bubble of light too, and sent them Reiki, sent them light, sent them love, sent them blessings. And one of my cousins that answered me, she said she had branches fall all around the car, but not on the car. I thought that was kind of neat. So just goes to show you how protected you can be by spirit. Anyway, blessings to you. Have a wonderful rest of October. And I will see you. I think the next time I see you will actually be I think it'll be November. It'll either be October 31st or it'll be November 1st, whatever it is. And just am very grateful for your presence in my life. Um, I don't think there was any questions from last time. A few compliments, which I thank you most sincerely for. But if anybody has put a question in the chat box, then I will answer it next time I'm on board. Thank you. Bye now.